draft pretty deep today. We got some good conversations. We'll talk position groups. We'll talk defense. We'll talk offense. We will talk really what it looks like here to kind of manage potentially an aging Eagles team, a roster that might not be as dominant or as powerful today as it was maybe even a year or 2 years ago. So we will talk about that, how to replenish and regroup with all of that. John, I was listening to our buddies over at Inside the Birds podcast. I was listening to Adam Kaplan, Jeff Mosier on there. And Adam Cap, just to start on this real quick, Adam Kaplan spoke about how he's talked to other coaches around the league who believe that Kevin Patullo, while a good coach, was potentially too nice to coach Jalen Hurts. Now, I don't know exactly what that means. Do you think Sean Mannion's going to be too nice, John? Because when I look at Sean Mannion, he looks like a perennial nice guy too, doesn't he? He looks like a soft-spoken nice guy. I don't know, but I do wonder if
I hesitate with those things because Kevin's anybody who meets Kevin is like a really nice guy, like a really personable guy.
Yeah, right.
And I think that clouds their vision of what he is as a football coach, which like I haven't met Sean yet, so I don't know how he comes across. I do know he was a quarterback himself, so you would think there's some natural sort of leadership abilities, pretty high level quarterback in college. So you would think that comes with it. Same with Kellen Moore. Everybody thought Kellen Moore was the all shucks guy, but behind the scenes, he was pretty, concrete on what he wanted and what he expected and yada, yada. So I don't know, but Kevin comes across as this tremendously likable person. So I think everybody just defaults to him. Wow, he's too nice. I don't know if he is too nice or not.
Well, I don't know. Is it nice or is it, when you hire guys, John, that don't have experience in the role like some other people do? I think it's a natural part of, just the professional evolution, the growth curve, the human, element of it, where maybe they don't feel like they have the gravitas. Like you talk about that all the time. Vic Fangio doesn't give a rat's ass. 40 years later, he doesn't give a rat's ass what anybody has to say, what Howie wants, what the players want, what the contracts are. He's earned that right. Now Vic maybe is a special personality, but I'm sure that's grown over the years as his stature, as his success, as all of those things have built. You have first-year coaches, coaching a quarterback that's had pretty tremendous amounts of success in his first 6 years in the league. Maybe that creates a position where they don't feel as empowered to coach and correct, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that's the situation, but I could see how that would become apparent.
Yeah, well, the experience part of it's real. It's interesting. It would be interesting to go to like 1995 and see Vic as a first-time coordinator, and what the differences were.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure there were pretty stark differences, but so yeah, that's real. The experience part of it, when you get to the level that Vic Fangio is, but that's rare for any coach. So kind of put him off to the side. But yeah, with young coaches, they have to go through. It's growing pains. So like in any job, you get hired for any job. You're not, what we were talking about earlier. What I've done 2,000 of these shows. I cringe on the first one. That's just.
By the way, I did fix our podcast numbers.
Oh,
I saw what happened. So
with between football 24 and everything else, it's just more comfortable for you, similar to Jalen Hurts. I think with Jalen Hurts, it's not about the coaches. I get it. Like everybody wants to blame the coaches, give the coaches credit. Kellen Moore tapped in. It's like he Jalen Hurts every once in a while will let you in on his internal thinking, whether he does it purposefully or made a mistake. Every once in a while. And a while back, he talked about this is I'm paraphrasing, obviously. This is going to look the way Jalen Hurts wants it to look. And, he gave those interesting quotes about the new offensive coordinators, and you want to build up that foundation and then sort of shift to what I like. I think he came to the conclusion, as everybody constantly, whether they want to make excuses for him, the excuse makers want to go 7 offensive coordinators. And, the people that don't want to make excuses for him don't factor that into the equation. But I think from his standpoint is he knows what the setup is here. He knows that it's not going to be a long time with each offensive coordinator, because either they're going to be successful and they're going to get hired elsewhere, or they're going to fail and they're going to get fired. So he kind of knows he's the constant.
Right.
And I don't think he's wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
Said.
Yeah, that's a complete valid thought process.
And, my biggest, and again, we don't know how this has happened. They're not even going to be on the field until May. The off-season program for them doesn't start until April 20th. We don't know what any of this is going to look like. I got a obvious it's going to look different in the spring in OTAs and minicamp, because they're changing schemes and they're going to try to do this. But again, that doesn't mean when the games come around, they're not going to scale back to what they've done best, which I think is what Eagles fans should be hoping for. And that's what Jalen was talking about. All right, we'll try. But I think, and even I've slipped into this, saying he doesn't like under center. He doesn't like motion. He likes a lot of hitch routes. The better word, I'm going to try to do it, is he's uncomfortable under center. He's uncomfortable with a lot of motion. He's uncomfortable if you don't have hitch routes, a lot of hitch routes. And there's nothing wrong with that. As there has been by their team success, as evidenced by their team success. Now, do you want to evolve and do you want to incorporate more? And that's what they did last season. When they did go under center, he didn't say, no, I'm not doing it. When they did use a little bit more motion, he didn't say, no, stop it. He tried it. But you have to realize if it doesn't work, and that lack of comfort turns into lack of effectiveness, well, you'd be dumb to keep doing it. And I think the Eagles know that. So, the longer term aspect of it is, do you want to pound the square peg in the round hole, completely change him as a player, which I think is silly to even discuss, but yeah. I guess we're having that discussion.
I'm not of the belief that they're going to do that, John.
Well, I hope not, but
unless they truly feel as though the way in which they've won is completely expired milk. Or like you say, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
I mean, I guess it's possible. Doesn't make sense to me. They won 11 games last year. If the offensive line was a modicum of healthy, they're up to 12 or 13.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean,
it just does feel like that style of winning. I mean, and even you spoke about this, how hard it is, to win that way is you need a lot to be perfect, like, for example, last year, the offensive line, people talk about that. You often talk about how we act like last year was a 5-win team, or the Eagles do. Well, people act like that offensive line was a bottom offensive line last year. Now, they weren't Eagle level, but they were not a bottom half of the league offensive line last year.
Well, I agree. They were still very good pass.
That's what I mean. Line. So they were unable to even overcome that, really to any level of.
But they did. They won 11 games in the NFL.
But the offense really struggled, and I think
Well, the offense stinks. But
that's
the
offense is only good. But
my only pushback to that was the offense stunk in 2024. The passing offense. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
it stunk in 2024.
But
People
the offense
refuse to
worked because they
acknowledge it.
had the run game,
Yeah.
behind that offensive line.
Which is why I said fix first down, and I think they believe that, and everything falls into place.
Yeah, could be a good way to look at it. I think you're probably right about that, or at least
I think the simplest answers are usually the correct one. I think it is here. Fix first down, and you're fine.